Hello, good evening, and welcome to the very last show of 2021. So, welcome to the Double 15 Minutes. Thank you for joining us. Now, we are live and we are streaming across Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So, wherever you're watching us from, if you are watching us live, please put your name and where you're watching from in the comments. And as we go on, if you have any questions for my amazing guest, then please do feel free to ask away. So today, I am joined by the phenomenal tattoo artist, and all-round amazing being, Heleena. Heleena, thank you so much for joining me. I am so excited.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you for having me.
Oh no, my absolute pleasure, because I know how busy you are, and and I know with sort of like everything that's going on in life, it's
Yeah.
you thank you for putting aside time.
It's my break. This is our treat together, isn't it?
I love it. It's like, what's your treat? Some people say whole nut. Heleena says podcasting.
No, it's talking to you. This is I said this before. I was like, the only reason I'm doing this because I genuinely just really enjoy our conversations. I just like talking to you.
Do you know what? The feeling is mutual, Heleena, because I have been a fan of your work for some time now. I'm just always so in awe of sort of like the younger generation who are following their dreams, have a passion, and have turned their passion into not just an income, but a sharing their passion with so many people. So for those of you, like I said at the beginning of the show, that Heleena is an artist as well as a tattoo artist. And we've been, we every time we've met up, we've spoken about this. And, Heleena, one of my things to you is I know that a lot of South Asians always talk about the toxic side of South Asian culture and the barriers and the obstacles. And I want to park that because I want to talk about the positive side of our culture and the inspiration behind your work. So, firstly, let's go into what inspired you to follow the route that you followed.
Oh my God, you start off with such a hard one, don't you? I don't remember the thought process of being like, this is like what I need to do. I think I just like I was a bit lost, and then I decided, you know what, I might be good at tattoos. I really want a tattoo. Let me just like design one for myself. Like it was just very like how you would do anything. You're just like, oh, maybe I'll be good at this, or maybe I'll try it. It wasn't anything like a eureka moment or like I was inspired. Like there wasn't anything magical about it. I was just like, oh, I might be good at this. And then I just kind of grew up drawing like South Asian pieces, and obviously we had loads in our house. So I've just been like, what's the word? Like,
So I suppose it's like you had
exposed.
that inspiration around you, the love of art.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just always something that's been around. So I just kind of incorporate it in how I work. And then when I got a little bit older, I learned that like in South Asian culture, tattooing is very prominent. Like growing up and seeing like my bar's friends, and they had the ajbar all over them, and I didn't actually realize they were tattoos until I got older. And I was just like, we have this rich history of tattooing and protection and ceremonies and so many things around tattooing. It's not a Western thing. So I'm trying my hardest to educate people and also make people aware that this is something that we actually do. It's not just for Westerners. It's very much part of our heritage as well.
And I guess it's like, if we were to explain it to those in the West that that are really talking about it, we'd be talking about, because a lot of them will relate it to tribal art, but I mean this is one of your designs, so yeah, I am one of Helena's. When you talk about Trajwa, that's the traditional name for.
That's the Gujarati traditional name. So across South Asia, across like any sort of like Africa, China, so across the entire world, POCs, indigenous people and tribes, they have their own form of tattooing, whether it be like needles and ink or like other forms of like body modification. And it's all about protection. It's all about representing things and like finding a way home, like being part of a group of people, being part of a community. It's all things that put us together.
Yeah.
And Drajva, because obviously like we're Gujarati, that's the one that called out to me. This is the thing that I saw growing up. Like if you go to other parts of India, they'll have their own kind of traditional markings and have their own different names for it. But Drajva is what I do because that's obviously part of like my heritage and my upbringing as well. Yeah.
And it's something that we sort of, like you say, we grew up seeing our grandmothers, etc., covered in these tattoos, which,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, again, the history behind those is to do with, is it that it's to do with the more art they had on their arms and their legs, the more prosperous and abundant their families were.
Yeah, that it though, to be honest, every time I hear like the reasoning behind it, it's always different. So
Yeah.
like, but like when I meet my clients and they're from different parts of Gujarat, because obviously Gujarat is massive, everyone says different things. So it can be to be to show wealth, it could be to show where you're from, it could be just for decoration, it could be jewelry that can't be stolen. Like there's so many different reasons. There are people that do it by choice, people that are forced into it, people that do it before they get married. Like there's such a wide spectrum of reasons and meanings behind the symbols that I think it's almost impossible to get it absolutely correct. It just depends on like where you are and what your personal beliefs are.
Yeah.
But most of the time when people like women especially got transferred, they're like children, they're maybe like 4 or 5 years old, and then they get married. So when child marriages were a bigger thing, that's usually what would happen. The little girls would get their drajva and then they'd go off and get married.
Yeah, which is,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a whole other discussion, isn't it?
Yes, that
All
is
the
a whole other
private
discussion.
marriages and
But
stuff.
we do it to show our connection to our ancestors. We do it to show that it's a beautiful thing that
Yeah.
is part of our heritage. We do it to reclaim ourselves, not
Mm.
for those particular reasons.
No, absolutely. And I
Yeah.
think, you know, I mean, I think somebody like yourself, it's like, you know, you are bringing a lot of the traditional art forms, you know, the traditional styles,
Mm.
the old style of artwork into a modern world. So,
Mm.
you know, for those of you who are, I mean, you know, for those of you who are familiar with Helena's work, you'll have seen on her Instagram page her influences and all of her artwork, which is incredibly stunning.
Thank
And
you.
you'd expect to see that sort of artwork in, you know, in the forts in sort of like, you know, Delhi or
Yeah.
Rajasthan or whatever. They're very, very, you know, South Asian inspired. Here's the question I had. Like, I know we touched on briefly that we don't want to talk about you know, the toxicity of obstacles from the South Asian perspective. What I want to talk about is that being a tattoo artist for a South Asian woman is a supposedly unusual.
No, it is unusual. Everyone's like,
Unusual.
what do your parents think?
Well, my question to you is, what level of support did you get when you said, actually, you know what? I love art. I'm an artist, and I want to create art through the form of tattooing. What was the support you got?
So I think it did take people a while. I can be completely honest. It did take people a while to kind of adjust to the fact that I was genuinely serious about this thing. Because to be completely honest, like if your 18-year-old child was like to you, I'm going to do something that's wildly outrageous and something that I've never seen before, you'd be a little bit concerned, and you'd also be like skeptical about it, you know. So I don't blame my parents for feeling that way. But once I proved to them, not proved, but kind of like carried on doing what I wanted to do and just carried on believing in what I wanted to do, they were like, actually, you're really good at this, and actually people really like it, and it's serving you well, and you're like doing something nice for other people. So I think they appreciate it now, and they understand like how much what I do
Mm.
makes me happy, it makes other people happy, and how I've actually been able to like sustain myself, because that's what parents want, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
especially South Asian parents, it's all about be a doctor, be a lawyer, because they're
Mhm.
safe bets, aren't they? Like
Yeah.
you will have an income, you can support a family, you can buy a house. But I've been able to do all those things.
Mhm.
Well, not the family, you know, like the
Yeah.
things that they wanted.
You do have a family because you've got your
I
fur
do.
baby. Their family.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, I've been able to do all the things that, like, a traditional daughter should be
Mm.
able to do,
Mm.
but by doing it in a way that I wanted to do it. So,
Yeah.
obviously, I've just been incredibly lucky that I've received the support that I have, that people like my work and they think that I'm a talented person, you know? Like, it'd
Mm.
be completely different if everyone just thought my work was terrible, like, nobody supported it, you know?
Yeah, but then I think you're quite pragmatic in that, you know, if you didn't have the talent, I can't see you having sort of like pursued a career in it, but you've been
Yeah.
doing it quite how many years now
Ye
have you been doing this?
I think it's been about 5 years. Oh, since I was, like, 19.
Mm.
How old am I? Maybe, like, 6, 7 years.
Yeah, but you pursued it because you had a natural talent for it.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, when we look at it, because we were talking about this earlier off screen before we started the show. So we've had a few people joining us. So I'm just going to say Jayshree's joined us, Rena joined us, Bina has joined us, and Christopher joined us as well. So thank you guys for joining us live. Um, we were talking about this earlier. We were talking about sort of like, being an empowered South Asian woman and
Mm.
through those glass ceilings. So if I look back to when I was younger, I would have loved to have had a role model like you, somebody who is, focused, paving a way and a path for themselves. But then by creating that path, you're actually allowing others to follow in your footsteps, albeit maybe not as a tattoo artist, but as something else that is not
Mm.
seen as the traditional safe careers.
Mm.
So, looking at that, who were your role models that allowed you to stay focused and follow your path?
Did I have any?
Maybe that could be the question. Did you have any role models, or did you become your own role model?
I think there were, like, artists that are,
Mm.
like, obviously extremely talented, and, like, when I look at, like, traditional paintings and I think, "Wow, they're so incredible, like, I'd love to be able to do those things." There weren't, like, particular people that I was like, "I wanna be like that." I was speaking to someone the other day where I was like, "I don't think I have, like, a fangirl complex." You know, when people are just so, like, in love with things?
Mm.
I don't have that.
Yeah.
Um so it would be nice to be like, yes, this person,
Mm.
like all the way. I remember seeing one other South Asian tattoo artist before I had started tattooing.
Mm.
Her name is Zaira Hunjan, who is absolutely incredible. And I think she was the first South Asian woman that I'd seen like heavily tattooed.
Mm.
And I was like, if she can do it, I can do it. But
Yeah.
her style of work was like insane. I was like, I'm not ever gonna be able to do something like that. To be honest, I still feel like that now. But it was nice to like see it being done and see
Mm.
it like be possible.
Yeah.
Um, but in terms of like what kept me going, I'm a stubborn person. Like if I want something, I really, really, really want it. And I just really have to make sure that it happens. I've just been like that with everything. And I think if it's if it wasn't worth having, then I wouldn't put my all into it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if you want it, you just have to go and get it and do it. Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm a great believer in that. I think if you really want something to happen, you make it happen.
Yeah.
I know, like, we look through social media and everyone talks about the law of attraction and manifestation
Mm.
and the law of assumption. But what most people forget is that you can't manifest something into existence without actually working for
Yeah.
it.
No, 100 yeah. That's literally my life story. Like, I can just dream and hope and wish and like say it
Mm.
like how much I want something, but you have to go out there and actually make it happen. Like, and it's possible because you see people do these things all the time. And I think, like, being a tattoo artist, even though it's a really tough industry to get into, it's not impossible because that they exist, you know, tattoo artists exist. So I think, like, no matter what anybody wants to do, if you want to be like an actress or like an actor or like a, I don't know, like a decorator, if you want to build roofs or something, there's like roles out there that exist. People have done that. So there's nothing stopping you from being a person that can do that. It doesn't matter, like, if you're South Asian. I think that's it's a silly thing. It doesn't stop your capability of like carrying out a task just because like your parents were from this village in India. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have any impact in your ability to do something. It's just a stigma thing, isn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And actually it's an obstacle that you can 100% overcome.
Yeah, you just need to be willing to do it.
So, okay, so if you were to advise any younger generation that are watching, sort of like we're talking sort of like the young girls that haven't even got into their GCSEs, what piece of advice would you give them when it comes to following their hearts?
You just got to do it. Like, I think it's really hard, but if you want something, you have to just do it. And I think, like, with a lot of things, like, even like silly things in South Asian culture is just not allowed. Like, I remember not being able to pierce a certain part of my ear. You know, just little things, but you just do it anyway, don't you? You're like, I'm gonna get told off for this. I want to go to the cinema with a boy, and you're not allowed to do it, but you just do it. You just face the consequences afterwards, but you just do whatever it is that you want to do. And those consequences are so temporary, like, it doesn't last forever. Sooner or later, people are going to get tired of being like, that's bad, you know, you shouldn't do these things.
Yeah.
But in one ear and out the other, you know, like, people are always going to have opinions, and we're just known for being very opinionated in our culture.
Yeah, we are. I mean, but to be fair, it is, you know, I guess you'd get that within most cultures because, like you said, the tattoo artists, even though there are some phenomenal female tattoo artists out there, irrespective of what, you know, their ethnicity, there is like very much a, I suppose that sort of like barrier put in place of certain people can only do certain jobs. And I love what you said in terms of, you know, it doesn't matter, the consequences will be forgotten, you know, but the outcome will be or could be positive. So we've had Rena saying that your Insta page is amazing, Heleena, almost tempting me to get one done. Do it, Rena.
Do it.
And I second what Rupa said about having such role models back in the 90s. So because, you know, we spoke about this earlier, Heleena, didn't we?
Yeah.
Where, you know, saying sort of like people within my generation, we didn't have South Asian role models. Like, we had a few from the Bollywood industry that were breaking stereotypes. So, you know, for us from the Bollywood industry, there was someone like Zinat Aman who was embracing her sexuality, her figure, she looked. But we didn't really have role models that were breaking the norm and breaking those glass ceilings. And so for me, when I looked towards women to inspire me, there was nobody that looked like me that could inspire me.
Yeah. It is. This is a thing though, isn't it? Like, somebody asked me if I could recommend any like POC tattoo studios that they could work in as like a safe space and this, that, and the other. And I was like, there aren't any. Or if there are, they are very small, limited spaces. They're just like maybe like a collection of friends that have a little space together. You know, the thing is that when you do these things, when you like step outside the box, when you're like the only person in your field that looks like you just have to be prepared to be the only person in your field that looks the way that you do. You know, I know it's not like a nice thing, but if you really want something, you just have to. It's like female engineers and stuff, like they're well prepared to be in a room full of white men, you know, like or like cis het men, you know. So,
Mm.
but if they really want to do it, they're going to do it, and they're just going
Mm.
to ignore the fact that that's the only thing that's separating them is their genitals and maybe the color of their skin. Do you know what I mean? Like those things
Yeah.
have no impact in your ability to carry
Mm.
out a task. Like I said
Mm.
it before, and I think we don't need to have role models to be able to do something that we want. You can be that role model for someone else, though, even if that's not your intention, but
Mm.
you being the brave one and you being like, I really want this, I'm going to go do it, will inspire somebody else to do the same thing.
No, I completely agree with you, because I know sort of like I read a quote and they sort of like took it from sort of like women who smash glass ceilings. And it was a take on that. And they talked about women who smash glass ceilings and get through those ceilings need to reach down and grab the hand of the next
Yeah,
woman that wants to be able to, you know, get through that smash
yeah,
ceiling.
it is really true.
Mm.
Even if you don't physically like reach down at it, but at least that the ceiling's gone now.
Yeah, and
You can
it's a
climb through
metaphorical.
that.
Okay, here's my question, Helena. You know, because I mean, you've spoken a lot about your mindset and that, you know, the determination. But what is it that you do? Do you have like some sort of, like, I don't know, meditative practice, self-talk that actually helps you focus your mind into continuing down the path that you're continuing?
I wish I did have that. I think I'd be a lot healthier mentally if I did have that. I
Yeah.
think I think it goes back to the stubbornness. I am a Capricorn, if you know anything about astrology, that helps too, doesn't it? I think I think it is just the stubbornness of like really wanting something. I was a spoilt child, and if I didn't get something, I'd go out of my way to make sure it happened. And that again is like a medicine, but obviously it's not always like that. You have your days where you're just like, I'm gonna quit, like this isn't working, I'm going to give up. But then you're allowed those moments.
Mm.
You know, it's not every day like go get it, go get it. It's sometimes go get it, and sometimes it's like I want to have a sleep. Like I
Mm.
don't want to do this. I don't want to go into work today. I want to have a hot bath. You know, like
Mm.
you just need to allow yourself to feel all the feelings. Just go with it. Like it's gonna be terrible sometimes, but then the next day you might be like, oh, I really needed that day off, or I really needed that cry. You know, you just need to. I'm a big believer in if you feel something, you should outwardly express that. Like if
Mm.
I'm in a bad mood, everybody will know I'm in a bad mood. I do not hide that. If I want to cry, I will do it.
Yeah.
If I'm stressed about something, everybody will know
Mm.
because I'm allowed to feel the way that I do.
Yeah.
And I think that's maybe it's not nice for other people around you. Like, I think it's really healthy for yourself because you don't feel pent up. You don't feel like,
Mm.
oh, like, you know, that sickly feeling you feel like
Yeah.
when you're going to cry and your throat hurts. No,
Mm.
just, I don't care if you're on the bus. Like, if you're having a bad day, just have a bad day. It's okay.
It's about being in the moment is what you're saying. It's
Yes,
just
very much so. Just
embrace and
yeah,
accept.
and then once you've had your bad day, once you've
Mm.
had your cry, you will
Mm.
feel so much better because 'cause you'll be like, "I've had my moment, and
Yeah.
now I don't feel pent up. I don't feel like I'm just, like, holding things in," and you can
Mm.
actually think about life with a clear head. You could be like, "Okay,
Mm.
I've thought about all the negatives. What
Yeah.
could go right? What can I achieve from this? What
Mm.
baby steps can I take to get there?" Like,
Yeah.
nothing happens overnight. Everything takes absolutely ages when you think
Yeah.
about it.
Mm.
Like, when I wanted to be a tattoo artist, I decided when I was 18. It
Mm.
took 1 year for me to find a studio.
Mm.
That doesn't sound like a long period of time, but if you think about 365 days of feeling
Yeah.
like absolute poo because you're like,
Mhm.
"When am I gonna get a job? When am I gonna get a job?" It's a long time, and you
Yeah.
just need to, like, just go with it, and it
Mm.
happens. It does happen.
Mm.
You just need to apply like crazy.
Well, okay, so you'd say focus, determination,
Mm,
self-belief,
mm.
and being completely resilient and never giving up, but allowing yourself to have your WTF moment.
Yes. Yes. Very much so. Feel all the feelings. I'm all about feeling all the feelings.
Okay, so do you find that actually a lot of those of us who are creative, like you're creative with your art, etc. I'm creative with my writing.
Mm.
We very much are always in our feelings because
Oh,
we're
yeah.
quite aware of.
I'm such an emotional person. Like,
Yeah.
I'm an incredibly emotional person.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, that's what brings us, like, makes us us though, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
being that stress head, or being the person that's like over pushy, or being the like calm person, or the overly happy person. It's all what creates us, and I feel like it comes out in the way that we express our art.
It's also, and I'm going to get to a comment in a minute. It's also down to the fact that actually, when you are like you, Heleena, when when you are living within, not living in your emotions, because your emotions don't rule you.
No.
You actually are able to thrive because you
Yeah.
allow your emotions out. But do you think by doing that, that actually makes you more of a real slash authentic person?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, there's like, I don't think there's an instance where I've like had to, well, recently anyway, since I've realized that I'm allowed to feel my feelings and stuff like that.
Mm,
Um, yeah, since then I've just kind of like just take it as it comes. I don't need to
mm,
filter myself. I don't need to pretend. I can just be in the moment. And I think
yeah,
it's really important to be in the moment, because when you're to be honest, there are days when you like go to work and you're like, this is really unpush, like I can't be crying when I've
mm,
got a client in that's nervous for a tattoo, you know. But
yeah,
those moments when you like meet a new person and their energy of their excitement for what's about to happen to them,
mm,
it kind of like, you just absorb it, don't you? You're just like, oh, they're
yeah.
really excited, so I'm excited for you. Like, you just kind of swap a little, not swap, but you just kind of pinch what they're feeling and just,
You share energies
yeah,
because
you share it.
your energy is very infectious. I mean, I've had like two tattoos with Rupa, and
Really?
one very painful one.
Yeah, that was hilarious. That was the best day ever.
I know. That was actually for those of I have a sternum tattoo, and there
She
was
did
like
terribly.
it was the tiniest bit because it's quite a long tattoo, and it was
Yeah.
the tiniest bit that was the most painful. And you were like, "But I've done most of it. It's just that, like, literally that much." And I was like, "No, stop, stop, stop."
Yeah.
Yet this one wasn't. So so for me, your energy, your enthusiasm, your love for what you do, that really sort of like comforted me. And I
Oh,
knew that I was in completely safe hands. And
yeah.
I think, tattooing, like there are people out there who are like, oh God, no, you shouldn't have tattoos. Why have you got tattoos? But actually, for me personally, I think tattoos are a form of self-expression. So I'm just going to get to this and I'll let you answer that. So
Cool.
Rena has said that she finds some people when they talk to her that every tattoo they have has a story. Do you agree? So do you
No.
agree that all tattoos have a story?
Nope, I have the most random stuff on me. I have things because I just want them. I have like fish on my
Mm,
arms, which are like my absolute
yeah.
favorite. My little fish. I don't remember why I wanted that. I don't remember the thought process behind it.
Mm,
Um, Nope. But something about tattoos that I find
yeah.
really, even if the actual thing that
Mm,
doesn't have any meaning,
mm,
you can remember exactly like where you were, what
yeah.
moment in time that was, and how
Mm,
you felt in that moment. And I remember that fish
mm,
is when me and my partner got together for like, it was like the week we got together, the week
yeah.
I moved back to Leicester.
Mm,
There was so much stuff that happened, and I
mm,
got that fish at that moment. So whenever I think about it or whenever I look at it, I
mm,
can remember that like snapshot of like time
yeah.
and that moment in my life where this tattoo happened. But the actual thing itself doesn't mean
Mm.
a thing. I just liked it.
Well, so I guess in one way, even though the actual design of the tattoo may not have a story, but
Yeah.
there is a backstory.
Yeah, I guess so. You don't do like, well,
Mm,
personally, I don't get tattoos when like some I think I used to get tattoos when something big happened as like a treat to myself. You know, it's like, oh, it's my birthday. Why don't I treat myself to a tattoo or something
yeah.
like that? But I always find like they just come at like random moments. I'm like, oh,
Mm,
this is nice. It would probably be nice to book this in at some point. But then when that moment happens, you realize there's so much going on. There's so
mm,
much that happens on a daily basis. But that's
yeah.
just like a little snapshot of like what happened in that moment.
Yeah, and the thing is though, they also mark a milestone. They mark every single milestone you've had in your
Yeah.
journey so far, because every tattoo I've got, you know, there was something significant, like you said, that had happened that meant I got the tattoos.
Yeah. This is what I mean. But you don't do it on purpose. It's not
Mm,
like it's just kind of a subconscious thing, but it's nice to like look at them and be like, "Oh yeah, remember that? Like,
mm,
remember this moment when it was like December and my hand was like swollen like this and I couldn't wear gloves." Because it's just like a funny, like, it's just nice to look back and like, because there are moments in life that you don't really think about that often.
mm,
Like, it's like going through like your phone, like your pictures in your phone and be
mm,
like, "Oh my God, I forgot about this." Like,
mm.
so it's nice to like look at them and be like, "Oh yeah, that was really funny," or "That really hurt," or
Yeah.
like it's just nice to, yeah, they don't need to have a story, but it's just things, it's for you, isn't it? Like
Mm,
your tattoos are for you. They're not for anybody else. They're not to
yeah.
like, well, you can show them off whatever you want, but
Mm,
like they are specifically for your own person. Everybody else's opinions, everybody
mm.
else's like significance has no impact on
Yeah.
what it is that you put on yourself.
See, Helena, this is one of the biggest reasons I admire you so much, because of, you know, your whole thought process is just so phenomenally amazing. It's so
Ah.
wise, because you know it's, I think what you've said, a lot of what you've said, I know we're talking about tattoos and tattooing and you know that, but actually what you've said can be applied to life as well, because what you do, what, you know, how you wear your hair, what you do with your makeup, your body,
Yeah.
it has to be about you,
Yeah.
not about what everybody else thinks, because people outside of you are not living your life, you're living your life,
Mhm.
and
I
therefore
am a huge believer in that. You cannot live your life for anybody else. That's why when people are like shocked by what I do, and it's like it's because it's very rare to see
mm,
people doing like authentically what they actually want to do with themselves. Like
mm,
as a human race, not even like as a cocky thing, as a human race, we're so consumed by
mm,
impressing our community or fitting in with our community that when
mm,
somebody does something a little bit different, you're like, oh, what's
mm.
happening? Like,
Yeah. And
and people find it weird. They're like, it's so alien, isn't it? But then there's obviously like things that happen in your life that lead up to those moments. Like there was a time where I wanted to fit into the mold. I wanted to impress people, but
mm,
things happen in your life that make you feel like, you know what, I tried that, it didn't work, it didn't make me happy. I'm
yeah.
gonna go and treat myself and do something that I genuinely want to do. And that's what happened to me. Just had to learn these things like a little bit earlier on than other people.
But you see, that's actually a good thing, because it means you haven't spent 20, you know, 10, 15, 20, 30 years
Yeah.
of your life living a life that
Yeah.
isn't actually your life, that you're living
Yeah.
it for other people. So when I look at, so like say social media, and I look at you know, I see sort of like certain videos popping up of, I don't know, whatever, and I just
Mm.
look at it and I just like think, who are you actually living for? Are
Yeah.
you living for external validation, or
Mm.
are you living for your own inner peace of
I
mind?
feel like when people live for themselves, you can see it. Like you
Mm,
can tell straight away because there's so much like it's very unique. I feel like
yeah.
when people have like their own style and they're just being so authentically them that
Mhm,
you've never seen anything like it before because we're so individual. We have so many things that go on in our heads. Like no two people are the same.
mm,
So the idea of like fitting into a box or like trying to be the same as your neighbor,
yeah.
obviously it keeps us safe, because it's like an instinct thing, isn't it? Like you
Yeah.
have to like comply or be compatible with people in order to like stay safe and not be alone, blah blah blah. But there's also like this feeling of when you do these things, to an extent, you're not being yourself. You don't know how to be yourself. You lose part of yourself because you're like, if I had actually like gone out and done something that I was genuinely interested in, what kind of person would I be? Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I absolutely 100% agree with you on that, because at the end of the day, it is so much about, if you don't follow your heart, if you don't stay true to who you authentically are, ultimately you're literally going to wither away inside, and you may be going on and you know, doing the same thing day in day out, because I want to impress, you know, Mr. Smith down the road. I want to impress uncle who lives in Canada, and then I actually want to impress auntie who lives over in Australia. I never see them. They don't have any bearing on my life. Let me follow what their pathway is, because
Yeah.
their
It's an
validation.
acceptance thing, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
being accepted. But to be honest, I felt like the we're literally having a conversation about this earlier today, just before we did the podcast. Well, we spoke to you, and it was so I'm the only person in my family that has dogs. And I've always been like an animal fan my entire life. I've always wanted pets, always had pets, always wanted dogs. And my entire family are terrified of dogs. And they're just like so not about it. And we were just having this conversation where we were just like, they're not going to come, like my relatives aren't going to come to our house. They're not going to want to spend Christmas with us. They're not going to want to do this because we've got dogs in the house. And it's like, to be completely honest, my dogs are with me. Mine, for the rest of their lives, every single day. They are my children. And it's the way that I'm like, I'm trying to remind myself the reason I have this, because this is my life. This is exactly what I want. And everybody else is so irrelevant in these things. I know it's sad and it's hard when you're not accepted by the people that you love, or when people around you that you care about don't have the same opinions and thoughts that you do. And the same with tattoos, like they might not like them, they might have their own opinions about them, but you spend all your time with yourself. I spend all my time with my dogs. like these things that are constants in our lives are the most important thing. You go to work like most of the year, like most of your life you work, you know. Why would you not spend that majority of like that part of your life doing something that you genuinely don't like want to do, you know? Like it's a huge chunk of your being. You would like, obviously we grow old or whatever, but if you think about the actual time spent with like the energy that we have in our youth, things like that, it isn't that much. Like there's not that much time. So go do it.
Yeah, no, it's true, because I wrote something the other day about this, saying that time isn't linear, and time, like, you know, like a minute can feel like an hour
Yeah.
can feel like a week
Yeah.
can feel like a day, a year can feel like a second. You know, it's not linear, and we have to decide what it is that makes us truly happy inside, what makes our hearts burst with happiness. And unless we follow, I mean, I'm a great believer in, of course, we all need finances. We need to put a roof over our head and stuff. So, you know, let's be realistic there. But at the same time, you know, it's like for you, you're following your heart by following your passion with the artwork, the tattooing. If you weren't doing that, what would you be doing? And would you be as happy?
So before I started tattooing, I actually used to work in a bank.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I did that for the finances because we all need money, don't we? Like being an artist doesn't always pay well. Following your dreams doesn't always pay well. But what I did was I saved and saved and saved and saved to make sure that if I do ever follow my heart and go for whatever I want, that I'd have a little bit of like financial stability. So what most people do is have a job on the side. They work part-time or they work full-time, and they like have a small business on the side, you know?
Yeah.
or they keep it as a hobby or something, you know, but it shouldn't always be you do your 9 to 5, you come home, cook and clean, and then that's your life done, you know? It
Yeah.
should be that you have time. I think the main focus of this whole thing is that you have time to do things that you genuinely enjoy,
Mm.
genuinely want to practice. Like,
Yeah.
if you want to, like, spend time with horses, go to your farm and, like,
Mm.
go, like, stroke a horse, go horse riding, whatever, you know,
Yeah.
like, these things aren't impossible.
Mm.
That you just need to, if you really want to do something, you'll make the time and effort to make sure it happens. You know, if you want to go traveling, you'll take a few like weeks off in the year to make sure that
Mm.
you go and see the places that you want to go and see. If you want to teach children in Africa, you can do it. Like, it's not out of our reach because people do it all the time, unless there's something like crazy that we've
Mm.
not thought of yet, and that's what you want to do. But people invent things all the time. People go to
Mm.
the moon, if you believe in it. Like, you know what I
Yeah, of
mean?
course, yeah. But it is, it's like you said, so and I love your philosophy on that because actually if you want something, you go and make it happen.
Yeah,
And if you don't
definitely.
want it, you're gonna find excuses.
Yeah, exactly. Like, to be honest, we all procrastinate, don't we? Like, if we can't be bothered to do something, we don't do it. We
Yeah.
make every excuse in the book to make sure that we don't do it. And even though I absolutely adore what I do, and I am so lucky to be able to do what I do, um, and have the life that I've always dreamed of,
Yeah.
there's times where I'm like, I can't be bothered. I
And
really
I
can't be bothered. And it's
you're
okay.
you're talking to the Sagittarian here, and we are the queens and kings of procrastination.
Oh, I love it.
But it is very much a case of, I think you find the time, even if you're following your heart, you will have those moments where, oh, I can't be bothered with this, and you don't. But then
Mm,
the next day you get up and you've got renewed, I suppose, motivation to get on with it. And that's why,
mm.
we get things done the way we are. Now, Heleena, we've gone over the half an
Oh,
hour. But
sorry.
that's fine. I knew we would. No, don't apologise. I knew we would, and that's just the last show of 2021. And
End it with a really long one.
exactly, and it's a really interesting conversation. So
Ah,
here's my thing. So if say for example, like Rena was saying, that you're tempting her into getting a tattoo done. If people want to get hold of it, and I hope she does, Rena, you need to do it. Um, how do people get hold of you? How do they book appointments with you? And what would be the process around it?
so the way that you'd book an appointment is that you would email me. It's helenatattoos@outlook.com, and just tell me what you want. Tell me everything that you want. How big do you want your design? What do you want it inspired by? Do you have any pictures that you want to send? Like, do it. So usually when you email, um, I have an assistant because she's fancy. Um, she'll get back to you and she'll just make sure that you've given all the information. If you haven't, it's fine. She'll get back to you and just ask for anything that's missing.
Mm.
And yeah, and then at some point you'll get it's just really easy. You just might have to wait a little while for an appointment. But again, if you really want it, there's no harm in waiting.
Well, I can attest to the fact that actually it is worth the wait because I've got my, is it that side?
Yeah.
The, so I've got the Thrajwa down the neck, which that was just really scratchy because you said, oh,
I can't believe you were okay with that. I was so nervous. I was like, she's
I
gonna
mean, I
cry.
can show the top of my sternum. There's
Yeah.
not the sternum, which is there, but that goes down a little bit. And then that. So those, yeah, I've had 3 and I've got number 4 coming up soon. Well, in the new year. And I can't wait. I'm so excited.
I'm so
So what
excited.
is the process that people have to go through when they're getting their very first tattoo? Because I know what I did.
Yeah.
And it was my very first tattoo was the one that was the one I liked the least. In fact, I didn't like it at all. And I've had it since, had it covered up since. With,
Okay. I was like,
what,
get rid of it if you don't like it.
yeah, no, and I have. I've now got
Okay.
a half sleeve
Yeah.
to get rid of that one little
Yeah.
tattoo I didn't like. But what process, what sort of advice would you give somebody who is thinking about getting their very first tattoo?
Don't ask for anybody's opinion. Don't be like, I'm thinking about getting this. What do you think? Don't do it. Do not do it. If you want something and you've been thinking about it for a while and it's the same thing that keeps repeating in your head, like, oh, it would be nice to have this. Actually, yeah, it would be really nice to have this.
Mm.
Book it in secret. Don't tell anyone. And then you just go and get it done. Because the worst thing people do is bring like a spouse or a friend, and then they're like, oh, what do you think about this? I'm like, it's not going on them.
Yeah.
Their opinion does not matter. And there's a lot of times where before, I don't do this anymore, I used to send designs out before appointments, and people would show their friends and their friends would have opinions about it. Even if you think it's the most amazing thing and it's exactly what you wanted in your head, if you let other people's opinions affect how you see this design and how something that you wanted and you've let somebody else come into your brain about it, then it's never going to happen. So I think it's the biggest test of you trusting your taste in things and how you want to express yourself.
See, and I love what you've just said, because even though we're talking about tattoos, that is a philosophy that actually, we all need to be following in life, is that other people's opinions about what you're going to do with your life shouldn't actually influence whether you do it or whether you don't do it. And if you allow another person to influence you away from what you wanted towards what they want you to do, what do you end up with? Regret, because
it's always a what if, isn't it? Like you will have the goal in life is to go through it without any what ifs. Don't let any what ifs ever happen. If you want to go do something, do it. Don't be like, oh, what if I did this? What if it just do it? I know it's so easy said than done, but it's also so possible as well. Like if you genuinely want something and you've been thinking about it for a while, I implore you, please just go and do it, because it's in your mind for a reason. Like you've been thinking about it because it's meant to be for you. If it wasn't, you would have forgotten about it. If there's something that's weighing on you and you really want to do it and you really want to try it. It's me with lino printing. I really want to do it. I'm going to do it. And I bought myself a kit and I'm going to start.
That's amazing. I can't wait to see the results of it.
I know, I need to get it started.
Well, having said that, it's like my poetry books. I've got all 3 of them written and they're done and they're ready to be released, but we'll talk about that at some other time. But it is. I'm just going to add a little disclaimer in. Like when Heleena was talking about, if it's something that's been on your mind for a long time, you really want to do it. We're talking about positive things. We're not talking about any sort of criminal activity.
Yes, no.
That's our disclaimer.
Do murderous things that might put you in jail, kind of thing, or things that might harm people emotionally, mentally, physically.
Stay away from them. And if it's their egos that are going to be harmed, don't worry about it.
I was just thinking, to be honest, if you hurt people's feelings, it's fine, because sometimes people's feelings need to be hurt a little bit.
Well, it's either you follow your dreams and disappoint people who have no bearing on your life, or you follow what other people want you to do, and then you end up living a half life, because and then trying to fill it with all these, you're trying to fill voids in your life. Follow what other people want you to do.
It is true. It is true. I think there was like what was there? Somebody asked a bunch of elderly people in a home like what their biggest regrets are in life, and most of them said was not doing what I wanted to do. It was like the biggest one. I'm just like, that's what we're not going to do, guys.
Exactly. And take that from somebody who has broken through barriers, who is changing cultural stereotypes, because and I know you're really humble about it, but Heleena,
it's just I just don't even know what to do with my face. Do I smile, or do I just like shrink?
Or you can say, you can embrace it and say, actually, you know what, Rupa, you are right. I am breaking cultural stereotypes, and I hope that what I'm doing by following my heart can inspire other young Asian women, South Asian women.
It's true. It would be an absolute honor to inspire people to know that just because I did something that other people felt like they could do it too. It is massive, but I think it's just too big for my little brain to comprehend. So I'm like, we're just going to pretend that nobody else is in the world, and I'm just in my little bubble here, like doing living my dreams on my own.
I wouldn't say your little brain. I think it's just that you're a very humble person, and that's what it is. I mean, for me, the best people are the most humble. You know, and that's what I was just.
The ones that cringe at a compliment and were like, oh.
I know. Why do we do that? This is so
I know,
weird.
we should be like, yes, it's true, but I'm not there yet. We'll get there. We're
No,
all
I know.
growing. We're all growing.
Well, that's just it. I mean, I've actually met women who, you know, I will sort of like, you know, I am a real great believer in giving compliments,
Yeah,
genuine
so
compliments.
am I. I'm
Yeah,
always
I mean,
complimenting people.
yeah,
You
no. I mean, yeah, no, I'm not great at getting them, but I'm good at giving them.
I
But
think it's a British thing, you know.
yeah, do you think it's also well, having said that though, we're sort of like first generation immigrants or second, well, you maybe second
Yeah,
generation
like
immigrants.
our parents didn't ever compliment us. How is
No, no.
how are you supposed to know what to do with that information if we've never received a compliment from our parents, the people that teach us how to do things?
Yeah, it's really weird because what I will say is like my parents, if ever we dressed up in saris and stuff, my parents were always very complimentary about how we looked. But
Mhm.
everything else was your rotli chapatis aren't round enough. The you know
Yeah.
the shak curry that you've made needs more salt. So it was
Yeah.
always about sort of like that. So I'm sort of like waving my lip gloss around. Um, it was always about it wasn't that we were being insulted, it was
It's
a
like a critique to make you do
critique.
better. They want you
Yeah,
to they want you to do better kind of thing. Better
yeah.
for next time. I don't know. I just even that is like it'd
Mm.
be like if it was a compliment, it'd be really awkward and it'd feel very uncomfortable. Like, oh, you
Yeah,
tried to compliment. It's just
I know. It's like, you know, you're wearing a sari, you could, you know, and I'm gonna say this in Gujarati, I'll translate it. It's like, "Kitli rupari lage
I
છે."
know.
And it's
To be
like,
honest, I've not actually heard that yet. It's always you look smart. It's very smart.
it's smart actually does mean beautiful, but they
Oh.
just don't know how parents don't always know how to actually say
Yeah,
that.
it's always, "Oh, you're looking very smart. This is
Yeah.
smart, isn't it? You're so smart." And I'm like, "Thank you." You're
I
complimenting my
know.
brain.
But I mean, I've come across some women where you know, you say to them, "Oh, you're so pretty." "Yeah, I know, thank you."
Oh, you see, you can do that but not cocky. Like,
Yeah.
you can just be like, "Oh, thank you." Like, I know, but thank you. You know, there's like a nicer way to do it because I've done it before.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh," like if you compliment an outfit, you'd be like, "Yes, isn't it so good? Like, I love this." You know, and
Mm.
yeah, there's a
It's
nicer
about
way to do it.
It's about grace and humility, but I think, you know, I think everybody so I suppose there's pros and cons to both because actually knowing your worth and value and saying, "Yeah, I know I am, and thank you
Yeah,
for noticing," is a different kind of empowerment, isn't it?
it is. I want to be that person. I
Yeah.
will. I will be that person, but in a nice way, not in a way that makes you feel terrified that you even spoke to me, kind of.
Oh god, I know. Oh, Helena, you know what? It's been an absolute
I
pleasure.
knew this was gonna be fun. I was like, "We're gonna get chatting, aren't we?"
Well, I was gonna say it's a shame that we don't have any of your artwork to
I
share
know. I'm
with
sorry.
everybody.
I'm
Um,
sorry, my empty house that's just been painted. We can't put things on the wall yet.
yes, I know. Well, you know what? That you will. But okay, so I've put your email address on there. How else can people see your work?
It's just Instagram, really.
Mm,
I'm really terrible with social media and stuff like that. So if you do have an Instagram or if you Google me,
mm.
stuff comes up, which is really wild. So if you Google Heleena Tattoos, you can see my work. It's on Pinterest. I don't know how it got there, but it is. Just
People share it without actually crediting, so it's sort of like it turns up, doesn't
yeah,
it?
you found that piece and you were like, I know you didn't do this. I was like, that's mine.
Yeah,
I
and I was like,
did
that's even better.
this.
Person, the original artwork owner. Now,
uh,
yeah, because I was going to say because you recently also did. I know I said we were going to end the show, but actually I want to sort of like get out all everything that you've been doing because
Let's
you
go.
recently did a series of prints using the zodiac signs,
Mhm.
and you've done a rerun of those prints. So tell everybody
Yeah.
about that.
The next time they will be available is Monday, 20th of December. So I'm basically doing a nice farewell to 2021, and I can't believe how much work I've created. This is probably the most work I've ever created in a year. So I'm just restocking everything just for the very last time before we go into a new year and create new work. So there will be Zodiac Prints. I did like South Asian fairies, which I wish I had like growing up. So if you have children who like fairies and they want to see little brown fairies, we've got a bunch of those as well. Yeah, just everything that I've created this year, the Zodiac print of brown skinned women of all different shades, shapes, and sizes, representing the zodiac signs, all the things that we wanted to see in the art industry. This is what we're trying to do over here.
I know, and it's wonderful because there is such in-depth representation, because your artwork, as you said, you do actually cover sort of like all shapes and sizes and all skin tones, because what most people don't understand is the South Asian diaspora is so vast, and
It's
our skin
massive.
tones literally range from Caucasian through
Yeah.
to very dark skinned, almost
Yeah.
African,
Yeah.
Caribbean dark skin, and and
Gotta show the
everything.
range. We're all from like India is huge. Like we're
Yeah,
close to the equator, not so close to the equator. So we all look very different.
yeah, and then also India before sort of colonization, it was so many different lands, and I think it was the British that then decided to call it, because I think it was something from the Indus Valley. They decided to sort of like amalgamate it and call it India before it all split up. So apparently it came from sort of like colonizers.
It's
But
always the colonizers, isn't it?
always, I know.
Always. Everything wrong with the world has been created by colonizers. I just
It's
want to put that
true.
out
It's true.
there.
But you know what? It's just
We're
from the
moving past that. Um we're more aware of it now, so we can put it all
we're
in it.
we're reclaiming our power.
Yes, that
That's what
very
it
much
is.
that.
We're reclaiming our power without the need to
Be
recolonize
violent with it.
those that colonized us, because it's very much a case of, you know what, we've learned from the mistakes that people who maybe had lower morals, and we
Mm,
learned from those mistakes to say, look, we're a diverse world. Let's
mm.
embrace each other fully without.
Would it be lovely if everyone had that thought?
You never know. One day, but
One
let's
day,
start.
I genuinely believe one day.
I
I
think we
definitely,
will.
yeah, I think we'll get there. I
Yeah.
really do.
But we'll start off with one bit at a time, and that is actually reclaiming our, sort of our cultural heritage through the artwork you do, through the tattoos you do, and sharing that work further afield. So, oh, Heleena,
Baby steps, baby steps.
I know you're getting there. So, right. So, if people want to buy these prints, how do they do that? How do they contact you?
So I have a website that will be live on the 20th of December at, I want to say it was 9 a.m. 9 a.m. on 20th December. If you Google Heleena Tattoo's Big Cartel, I don't know if you're typing. Are you typing it?
Yeah.
Heleena Tattoo's Big Cartel. Yeah, that's my website, and you can buy all the things. Do a
Okay.
bit of
So
shopping, treat yourself.
I think for those of you, who are very much into, artwork, and sort of like want something completely different, then you really do need to Google and go onto Helena's page on Instagram and Google her artwork, because I mean, I bought a couple of prints off you and I absolutely love them. I bought one for a friend of mine. And I bought one,
Oh, cute.
and I absolutely love. I do love your work. I think
Oh, thank
I love how
you.
you combine the traditional influences of South Asian art with modern day influences, and you sort of amalgamate them really, really
It's all
well.
about representation, to be honest. I think most of my work is about representation and just making sure people feel seen in the like traditional ways that we've been documented and painted for centuries, you know? Like we all have pointy, bumpy noses and round heads and little eyes.
Yeah, no, except, you know, there's a whole load of South Asians, like for example, you know, I'm sort of like 5'7" and I've got like a longer face, very big eyes. I don't have the bumpy nose, but I do have a sort of like a more Indian-y nose.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you've got others who, you know, from a slightly different region in India.
Yep, we all look so different.
Yeah.
But if you look in history and how we've been painted, we all look the same.
Yeah, but that's just it. And I think that comes down to the whole you all look the same sort of like ignorant rhetoric. I wouldn't call it a racist rhetoric. I'd call it an ignorant rhetoric.
Yeah.
And it's about changing cultural perceptions and cultural stereotypes, which is what you're doing. So
we're all doing it a little bit, aren't we?
Trying to.
Yeah, trying to.
Step-by-step process, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
Step-by-step process. So, Heleena, thank you so much. Are there any last words you'd like to tell people that are either watching this live or going to be watching this back over the next few weeks? In terms of following their heart, what would be your last word of advice be?
Go do the thing that you wanted to do.
Unless it means physically harming someone, then don't.
Yeah, don't hurt anybody.
But if you have to hurt someone because you're following your dream, then
yeah, maybe not physically though.
yeah, I agree.
Oh no, I can't talk. I hurt people for a living.
They
without their consent.
They pay you to hurt them.
That's a consensual pain. I mean, like, without consent, don't hurt people.
I'm so glad you clarified that. And I think maybe we should clarify the fact that you hurt people via
when I tattoo.
Yes, yeah. You know, nothing to do with like Miss Whiplash or anything like that.
Yeah, no, she's not a dominatrix.
No.
Tattoo.
It may well be amongst some of those people.
Yes, but with consent, guys. This is what I mean. You can do those things with consent.
Consent, the buzzword of the century now. So
yeah, definitely, as it should be.
You have been absolutely.
This is fun. I'm glad we did this. This is nice. It's nice to be documented during our conversations.
Yeah, well, that's just it, and you know, I mean, like. To be fair, sort of like off camera, we do sort of like go really in depth into.
Yeah, we talk a lot.
Yeah, spirituality. But I love it because that's.
Yeah, me too.
We learn, don't we? The more we share, the more we learn.
Yeah, yeah. We've had emotional We've only met like 3 times, and you've like full on seen me cry sometimes. We've had like, this is why I wanted to do this, because I really appreciate you and your and the conversations that we have, and just how you are as a person, and like you're just hilarious as well.
I don't think that's intentional. I just think that's just.
I know, but it makes me feel happy. Like after we've had a session together and we spent time together, I just feel so much better. Like it doesn't matter if I'm having a bad day or whatever day. It's just like, it just feels a lot better. So I appreciate you.
No, I appreciate you too. And it's like I think there's sort of mutual appreciation going on here. But no, Heleena, I personally wish that I'd had somebody like you as a role model when I was growing up.
You need to stop we can't do the complimenting. It's too much. I'm sweating.
Okay, but we're also going to learn to embrace it. Okay, so
I'm not there yet. We'll get there.
You know, I just think it'd be so nice if we could get, you know, more and more South Asian women, you know, a platform that actually allow, not even just South Asian women that have been repressed, irrespective of whether they're South Asian or whatever ethnicity, any women that have actually been repressed and not been able to be who they are. We need that representation. And I think if we look at it from a South Asian perspective, I want to see more South Asian representation and role models for our younger generation so that they can look at you and go, actually, you know what, Heleena is what I want to be like. Not, you know, not because we want to be tattoo artists, but I want to be like Heleena because she's determined, she's focused. You know, it's the positive side of it.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate it. No, that is really lovely of you to say. I do appreciate it. I'm just so terrible.
Yeah. That's okay.
I'm like, oh.
No, I know, but you know what? The thing is, it's like, Heleena, you channel everything into your artwork, into working with your clients, and so actually, that is what is, you know, that is where I suppose your passion goes into. And yeah, I think anybody thinking of getting a tattoo, you must get in touch with Heleena and go to her because her work is phenomenal.
Oh, thank you.
I
No.
know, and I can't wait for my next tattoo. I'm so excited. And you heard it here first. But Heleena, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I could, like I said, I could talk
Yeah,
to you.
we're gonna carry on talking forever. We need this
I
is
know.
this is double 15 minutes
It
now.
is the double 15 minutes. And right, you know, you've been an absolutely phenomenal guest for me to have on the very last show of 2021.
I
You
feel
know,
like I could have a party popper or something.
I know. I don't have any party poppers here, but yeah, never mind. We could just pretend we've got one. Yeah. Um, but no, it's been absolutely brilliant. So just to say to everybody, thank you for all of you that have supported the double 15 minutes over this last year. Thank you to every single guest that has joined me. Thank you for giving, you know, so freely of yourself and sharing your passion, your inspiration, and your love with everybody that's watched the show. And that, you know, again, that goes for you as well, Heleena, because I know that you guys have all got really busy schedules, and to take time out to join me I'm really grateful.
Oh.
And
Oh, this has been amazing. So thank you.
it's brilliant. So we will be back in the new year. I'm going to be taking a break from the double 15 minutes for a short while. And because we're now rebranding, we'll be relaunching, we'll be relooking at things. And as soon as we've got more information for you, we will be sharing that with you all. But until then, I hope you all have a wonderful Christmas, as long as we don't go into another lockdown in the UK.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Fingers crossed. And Happy New Year to everyone. And again, Heleena, thank you so much for joining me. You've been phenomenal, as always.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you. Take care. We'll see you all in the new year. Bye-bye.